Well, with me this morning is our very own Jim Cantore, who's right along the Oregon shoreline at Cannon Beaches. And it's definitely very windy and very wet this morning, Jim. What's the latest?
Yeah, it really is, Cheryl. We're about 80 miles west of Portland, and last night as the sun set, it was actually a pretty nice evening. And what's been interesting to me is how the transition has gone from I didn't even need, just one layer on, and now I've got 3 or 4, and I'm going to go put another layer on. It's very, very cold, very windy, and we've had a squall move through last night, periods of heavy rain, some very squally weather. You can see the pampas grass blowing here behind me. I would imagine we've gusted 50 to 60 miles an hour. I was talking to Jamie, our senior forecaster, our forecaster this morning. He was telling me that with Sea Lion Caves gusted to 67 miles an hour. So we may very well see some of the observations along the Oregon coast come in with 50 to 70 mile per hour gusts again. So this low pressure that's anchored off the coast is sending in waves, smaller waves, but they are packing quite a punch this morning here in the Pacific Northwest, and I'm sure you're going to tell us about yet another one. But what's unusual is this is about a month early. So folks are, not so much caught off guard, but they were kind of hoping to get away with a month of some nicer weather before the storminess moved in November. But here it is, a month early. Back to you, Cheryl.
And Jim, I realize it's still rather dark right now, but have you seen any signs of beach erosion taking place?
No, I haven't. It's quite interesting here. There's quite a variation in the tide going in and out, and you don't see that like you see on the eastern seaboard, but I guess we can talk more about that later.
Thanks a lot, Jim. Again, that was Jim Cantore reporting live from the Oregon coast. And again this morning, still seeing some stiff winds to accompany this storm system. Our latest wind profile showing the stiff winds today. Well, with me this morning is our very own Jim Cantore. He's right in the midst of all the rain and the wind. And this morning, Jim, it looks very, very nasty where you are. Can you give us an update about the weather situation there?
Well, Cheryl, ever since last night around 2 o'clock in the morning locally, it's just been squalling like crazy here. Winds 50, 60. I would be shocked if we didn't see more winds that came in with 70 miles an hour. You can see behind me here the pampas grass. We just finished with a very, very heavy rain squall that just moved through here. I got absolutely soaked. But, this is a series of storms that's coming on into the Pacific Northwest. It's about a month early. I think it's caught some folks that plan their vacation typically this time of the year a little off guard. But no doubt in my mind, winds will be 50, 60, 70 miles an hour again this morning. And hopefully this will die down soon.
And Jim, I see that you're bundled up, and appropriately so, because right now temperatures mid-50s. Those strong wind gusts, wind chills are easily in the 30s this morning, so it looks pretty chilly.
They are, Cheryl. That's one thing, too. Each squall that comes on in, and as time goes on, it gets a little bit colder here in the Pacific Northwest.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jim. Again, that was Jim Cantore reporting live from Cannon Beach along the Oregon shoreline. Now, as Jim was mentioning, we've had some stiff winds and some very heavy rainfall to accompany this storm system.
He's standing by live with the latest on conditions right now near Cannon Beaches. Good morning, Jim.
Well, Viv, if this is an intermediate storm, I can hardly wait to see what the real McCoy has to bring tomorrow. But, I guess the good news is for the Pacific Northwest, this is normal weather. When you get a storm coming onshore, and we're out at the headlands here and not inland, you're going to get these kind of winds, 50 to 70 miles an hour, which is what we're getting this morning. There have been some scattered power outages reported in Astoria this morning, and they are inland. They've only gusted to 34 miles an hour, but as I mentioned, we're right on the coast. We're right here at Cannon Beach, which is about 80 miles west of Portland, so the winds are a lot stronger. Now, of course, the problem with all this is we've kind of missed out on what is usually Indian summer. This is the earliest storm on record that's come in at this power, if you will. And usually you go September through October with what they call the Indian summer out through here. So a lot of folks that plan their vacations year after year were caught just a little bit off guard, Vivian, by this storm. And perhaps again tomorrow is exactly what they don't want to hear. Viv.
Okay, a little gusty there right now, but I'll tell you what, things will be going downhill even more so come tomorrow afternoon as we watch our next system come ashore. Thanks very much, Jim, for the latest along the coastal areas of Oregon. Now, gale advisories remain in effect for the coast of Washington State and Oregon. You can see these marine advisories right along the northwestern shores of Oregon. We have our very own Jim Cantore. He's standing by live. Of course, he was reporting from the area yesterday when we had our first storm to come ashore. And you'll be there tomorrow too, Jim, waiting for the next one?
Yeah, rumor has it, Viv, they're going to keep me out here for a while. It's not uncommon when you get a series of storms like this to have these little intermediate storms that come in between the two big punches to unleash another core of rain and wind. And that's exactly what we've had overnight. Some rain, gusty winds, easily once again on the coast, 50, 60 miles an hour. Now inland, Astoria's only come in with a gust of 34 miles an hour. But in all honesty, folks, this is nothing uncommon in the Pacific Northwest. What is uncommon is the fact that it's about a month early. This is one of the strongest September-October storms that we've had on record for the Pacific Northwest, and of course the rainfall has just added to their unseasonably high amounts. As a matter of fact, some record-setting rainfalls have occurred in places like Eugene and Astoria as well. We've heard word out of the Pacific Northwest, especially Portland, Vancouver, Eugene, of some downed trees and power lines this morning. I would imagine with the inch of rain that they've had up and through here yesterday, and then this next wind event that came through this morning, that was the culprit. And as a matter of fact, a couple of the schools will be delayed because of the power outages here. But again, as I mentioned, this is not unnormal for the Northwest. What is abnormal is the fact that it is about a month early, and folks kind of bummed out that they missed out on their Indian summer. Vivian?
Okay, thanks, Jim, for reporting live. The latest, of course, along the coastal shores of Oregon, and we'll be tuning in with you, checking in with you in about a half an hour.
Okay.
Jim Cantore reporting live from the coastal areas of Oregon. Let's go back because I want to show you that we still have gale advisories in effect for the coast of Washington State and Oregon, as those winds will be quite persistent. They've been out of the south and southwest so far this morning around Salem, Oregon, gusting in excess of 35 miles an hour. Astoria just last hour, a wind gust of 35 miles an hour. So right along the coast we can expect 30 to 50 mile an hour winds, and that's why those gale advisories are in effect. Again, we've had one system. It already came ashore. You can see the surface front here moving through Idaho. Right now we're still finding a weaker trough, and that's what's bringing the rain showers along the coast of Oregon and Washington this morning. But here comes another very powerful system. This is the remnants of what was once Typhoon Ginger. Now last week we were talking about Typhoon Ginger, and it was out in the central Pacific. Did not cause many problems over the West Pacific as it made a quick turn to the east, and we knew then that it would change the overall upper air wind pattern as it started to head back toward the lower 48, and a deepening trough of low pressure setting up here. So as we watch this system come ashore, winds will be gusting, and it's really going to get ugly across the Pacific Northwest, and that system should come ashore by tomorrow afternoon. Again, the 1-2 punch, one system yesterday that came ashore in the Pacific Northwest, but it's not over just yet because we have another very powerful storm system waiting in the wings over the Pacific, and it should come ashore. Ending by live along the coastal areas of Oregon. Here's reporting live from the area yesterday when we were following the first storm, and of course waiting on the next one that should come in tomorrow. But in between the two, we still have some very gusty conditions, and it's quite cool, huh, Jim?
Yeah. Yes, it really is. It's definitely very, very windy as well. I would not be surprised at all when we start getting some of these reporting stations in from the seacoast this morning that winds have equaled yesterday, 50, 60, 70 miles an hour. Now, this is not uncommon for the Pacific Northwest, folks, to get storms like this. As a matter of fact, the local forecast on one of the stations says winds today 25 to 30 with gusts to 70 along the coast. So, I mean, this isn't uncommon. But what is uncommon is the fact that it's about a month early. These folks feel kind of gypped out here. They missed out on Indian summer, which is what they usually get for the month of October. So this is one of the earliest and definitely one of the most strongest storms they've dealt with this early in the season. Yesterday, some pretty heavy rain. In addition to the wind this morning, has actually knocked down some trees and power lines in the Astoria area, and they're actually having some schools that are going to be postponed this morning for a couple of hours until they can get that power restored. But it's been a very windy morning. We haven't seen the rain now for the last hour and a half, and we're still gusting to near 50 miles an hour here on the head wall. Let me show you around. You look behind me, you can see, of course, the first glimpses of sun. Folks out there walking on the beach this morning. Some pretty big breakers, too. We're talking 10, maybe as high as 12 feet coming in with this latest round of wind and rain this morning. And as we look offshore, a couple of squalls showing up well off in the distance, but we've pretty much seen an end to the heaviest rain. You can see over there, too, Haystack Rock, which is where I am. I'm on Cannon Beach, which is about 80 miles west of Portland. And this is a very, very popular vacation spot, usually enjoying Indian summer this time of the year, Viv, but This year, not the case.
I tell you what, a far cry from Indian summer, Jim. Wind chills must be only in the 30s there now, huh?
They're in the upper 30s, and to be honest with you, I can't put enough layers on them. Very, very cold this morning.
Okay, Jim, well, I'll tell you what, hope you'll stay there because tomorrow we'll be watching another system even more powerful coming ashore. And, of course, we'll get the live reports from Jim at Cannon Beach tomorrow. Thanks, Jim. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, high wind advisories remain in effect. Gale advisory